Hello, this is John Rinaldi from Real Time Automation. Welcome to another YouTube video. Today we're going to talk about OPC Day International 2022. And I've got 5 key takeaways. I watched all 15 hours of the OPC UA Day International. I thought it was pretty interesting. There's some stuff that was just mind-blowing. And I've got 5 key takeaways that I want to tell you about that I learned by watching the OPC UA Day videos. The first one, and this is not going to be a surprise to anybody. The first one is that OPC UA is really the dominant technology for moving data from the factory floor into the enterprise and into the cloud. That's no secret. There's nothing else that can compare. There's no other thing. There's no other technology that has the number of trade associations that have signed on to it, has the number of government groups signing on to it. I mean, OPC UA is clearly dominant. I like MQTT, but it has nowhere near the footprint that OPC UA does across the world. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that there was a theme. The first theme, there were two actually themes I found that were through the whole 5 days of presentations. One of them, they were talking about the goal of OPC UA is to drive down the cost of integration. And that was, they made that point over and over and over again throughout the whole series of presentations. Every day there was 3 or 4 or 5 presentations for 5 days. And the whole idea of OPC UA is to drive down the cost of integrations, and they want to just make sure that everybody understands that that's their goal. And I support that goal. I mean, who wouldn't? That's the problem right now, is that when a company like a P&G or Nestle's goes to buy a packaging machine, it costs almost as much to get it integrated into the factory systems as it does to build the machine in the first place, and that's wrong. So the third theme, well, number 3, there was a second theme though of all the presentations, and I was surprised by this one. The second theme of all the presentations was climate change. Now, this would not have been something that I would have chosen as a theme of the presentations, but they did. But a lot of the presentations from different vendors and different applications was on the theme of how can we use OPC UA in applications that are going to support fighting climate change. I don't really care if they want to do that or don't want to do that, but I just thought that it was interesting that they picked that as a theme. Fourth takeaway is about the foundation. The foundation is continuing to grow. It's got almost 900 members now all over the world. There's a lot of new members now in China. There's a lot of members all over the world. They have a lot more interactions with trade associations from all kinds of different fields, from people that are in the barcode business to people that are in the valve business and printers and whatnot. There's all sorts of other trade associations that are coming in and using OPC UA and signing agreements with the OPC foundations to create data models and such. So it's really growing. It's really, the foundation is doing really well. The fifth one is what is the focus of OPC UA Foundation in the future from 2022 on is something called OPC UA FX. If you're not familiar with that, essentially that means is take OPC UA from the high level piece of the communications in a factory system and take it all the way down to the sensor. So this is what they're trying to do now, is to develop controller-to-controller communications, controller-to-device communications, device-to-device communications, device-to-cloud, cloud-to-device, device-to-cloud, controller-to-cloud. All of this communications is going to be OPC UA in the future. That's essentially what their goal is, what they're working towards. I'm not sure. I know that I don't support that, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But that's the direction of that. So those are the 5 things that overall I got out of OPC UA International. It's dominating. Their theme is driving costs down. Their theme is to use it for climate change. Foundation's growing and doing well with all of the trade associations, and now it's time to move OPC UA down to the field level. That means really displacing Ethernet IP and Profinet and everything else, and just using OPC UA for all factory floor communications. So that's it. Now, so I have some thoughts. Of course, I have thoughts. I'm speaking of ignorance. I'm speaking out of ignorance, but I've been doing that for 50 years. So why stop now? So a couple of things that I thought were fascinating. One is there was a presentation from the German security office, and they said that 70% of OPC UA vendors are using version 1.04. That's the original client-server version of OPC UA. 70%, which is amazing to me because the foundation is coming out with all kinds of different structures and data models, the machinery model, they're coming out with scheduling, they're coming out with the device model and all of this stuff, and they have pub sub using MQTT and all this stuff, but the vendors aren't implementing it. So that really is concerning to me because I don't know about the viability of an organization if the vendors aren't going to support the advanced functionality. I mean, if we want to drive down costs from integrations, all of the vendors got to be using the same version of OPC UA. If you've got some that are implementing MQTT over using pub sub, some are using client server, and now we're right back where we started from. A manufacturer that has OPC UA, but different kinds of OPC UA, has got to spend money to get that stuff integrated. That's not helpful. So this was really concerning to me, and I was really kind of upset about that. The second thing is this whole FX effort. I don't like the idea of taking OPC UA down to the field level and using it for control. I think that cyclic operation, which is what we use in Profinet and what we use with Ethernet IP, that's the way you do control systems. You don't use the publish, subscribe, or client server communications. I don't think that works as well. Plus the fact, with FX, every device has to have security on it because we're going to make these devices available with OPC UA. The idea is that any client can come down to a valve and say, hey, you got some cycle counts, give me that. So you're going to have security on that. The thing I look for 3 things. 3 things are important to me when I'm looking at a technology. One is, does it increase the reliability? Does it increase the maintainability of a system? I'll probably spell these wrong. Ability. And is it low cost? Because on the factory floor forever, I've been in this business 35 years, low cost has always been the deciding factor. You could try to sell a drive that has all these frickin' features, but if there's another one that has a lot less features and it's $5 less, they're going to go with the one that's $5 less. So FX, I don't think increases the reliability. I know it doesn't increase the maintainability because you're going to need specialized people to maintain these systems, people that we don't have today. The electricians we have today and technicians are not going to be able to maintain an OPC UA FX system. And it's certainly, if you've got to add cybersecurity to every device, you're not going to get low cost. So this FX effort, I think, is very problematic. The other thing that I saw, the other thought that I have going through all these presentations is complexity. I see a lot of complexity. And going back to the point I just made, who's going to maintain these systems that are so complex? Today we have electricians and technicians and maintenance people that understand Ethernet IP. They understand Profinet. They know what to look for when something goes down. With an OPC UA system in the complex, with all of the security on it, I don't know that they can be trained up to do this. We're in a situation right now where we've got labor force issues. We can't find enough people. If we take laborers we have today and we train them up to give them more knowledge, they're going to leave and go someplace else. And we're not going to have, we don't have engineers that we can put on the factory floor to maintain these very complex systems that they're talking about. I wonder about how this is all going to work. And the fourth thought I have is, where's all the small manufacturers in all of this? Small guys. All I see is L'Oreal's, I see P&G's, I see all of these other people that are massive conglomerates. They can afford to put all of these really complex systems in. L'Oreal has, I think, 88,000 people in 68 plants. They can afford to have corporate people that know everything there is to know about these complex systems and then support the plants when they have a problem. That's not what happens at small manufacturers. And 90% of the manufacturers in the U.S., for example, are small. They can't support this complexity. So I had some very serious concerns as I was going through that presentation on OPC UA Day International about all the stuff that's going on there. So that's my thoughts. If you have a different idea, if you have a different view, you want to disagree with me, please get a hold of me. I'm John Rinaldi. I'm really easy to find. And thanks very much. I'll see you in the next video.